Hello, I'm Mr. Singleton. I'm one of the Associate Directors for Outward Academy, and this lesson is a required practical lesson for physics. This is about density. Now, you must know the different methods for doing this and for these required practicals, and really it's a good idea to know why you're doing each bit. So we'll with this. So we are going to be using these types of equipment. All right, so we've got a scale, a balance, a measuring cylinder, and then a Newton meter. So I've just told you what the pieces of equipment are. Now, why would you use them? What would you use each one for? I'll give you 1 minute. Off you go. Okay, the scale and the balance do the same thing. They measure mass. So if we're trying to find the mass of something, we'd use them. The measuring cylinder is an interesting one. Lots and lots of students will put the amount of a liquid. Please do not use the word amount when we are talking about liquids. It's a volume. So that measuring cylinder measures a volume of a liquid. And then the last one there is a Newton meter. It measures the force, hence why it's called a Newton meter. So the required practical that you need to do and be able to recall is the density of regular and irregular solids and liquids. If you have not watched the first lesson on this, or if you've not done about how to calculate density, this would be a very good time for you to go back and actually get the equation. It will make a lot more sense for you. So the practical, you need to be able to record the measurements for regular and irregular, and we're going to talk about volumes and displacement techniques and those types of things. Challenge today then is to calculate the density of different solids and liquids, and then the aspire is to identify materials based on calculated densities and then evaluate the effect of precision on the density used. So from last lesson, you have to be able to recall that equation, density equals mass divided by volume. So what you would need to do in this case is you would need to find the mass by using the top pan balance. Now the volume is a little bit harder because if it's a regular shape, and we're talking, those ones which are easy to measure really, then you just do the length times the height times the width. And if you put all those together, you will find the volume. From earlier on in the lesson, density is the mass divided by the volume. So the first thing I'm going to do is try to find the mass of this and then the volume of this. This is a regular shape, all right, so all I have to do to find out the volume of this is use my ruler, okay, and size it up. So the length is 5, the depth is 2, and the width is 2. So to work out the volume of my regular object, I'll do 5 times 2 times by 2, which gives me 20 centimeters cubed. Next part's really easy. I've got my volume. Now I'm going to find my mass, place it onto the top pan balance, and now I can start to plug in my numbers. So density equals the mass, which is 169.05 divided by 20. So I'm going to put that into my calculator. Please remember to use your calculator in your exam. So then the density is 8.4525 grams per centimeter cubed. And then they might ask if you wanted to put that into, let's say, 3 significant figures. You would go 8, that's one of my significant figures, 4 is my next significant figures, and then 5 is my next one. And because that is lower than 5, then it can stay at 5. So that is how you work out the density of a regular object. So here are your challenge questions using that idea. There are 9 different questions there for you to work through. and it's just using that equation in different scenarios. I will give you 10 minutes to answer those questions. If you're doing this in the classroom, then please write them in your books. If you are doing this at home, then you can just write them on your piece of paper. Be careful where it says 3dp, that means 3 decimal places. But other than that, you should be okay. Off you go. Okay, you got 1 more minute. Okay, we'll go through the answers. So if lead has a density of 11.5 and the cylindrical block has a radius of 5 and a height of 3, then the mass must have been 2.709 kilograms. Olympic medals have a diameter of 6 and a thickness of 1. The gold has a density of 19 grams per centimeter cubed. Work out the mass, and this one should be 537.21 grams to 2 decimal places. The density of the concrete is 2,400 kilograms per meter squared. How much will each step have a mass of? That should have been 1,728 kilograms. What is the density in kilograms per meter squared? So this one was a little bit easier. It was 12.5. Lead has a density of 11.5. A rectangular block of lead measures 4 times 5 times 2. Find the mass. You should have got 460 grams. A wooden cube has lengths of 8 centimeters. It has a mass of 307.2 grams. Find the density of the cube. Now, if it's a cube, then you can find the volume quite quickly by doing 8 by 8 by 8, and then you have the mass there already. So that would have been 0.6 grams per centimeter cubed. A Buddha block weighs 200 grams, and so this is just a cuboid. The dimensions are 8 by 5 by 6. What is the density? So you just do the mass, 200, divided by the volume, which is 8 times 5 times 6. So the density would have been 0.833 grams per centimeter cubed. A ship container weighs 100 kilograms. The dimensions are 5 by 5 by 8. What is the density? Again, you just had to put the numbers in. 0.5 kilograms per meter squared. And then a sculpture is made of bronze, and it's giving you its density. It measures 2 by 2 by 147 centimeters. Find its mass. So this was rearranging again, and you should have got 0.5 kilograms per meters cubed. So a revision card for you. If you've got a regular shaped object, then you can work out the volume of that object by just multiplying the width and the length and the depth or the height of it. You then just need to measure the mass using a balance. Then you can use the equation density equals mass divided by volume, and that is for a regular shape. And we are going to go on to an irregular shape in this. So if we are looking at an irregular shape, that's one that doesn't have a normal shape where you can just find the volume very easy. Let's say the example on this question later on is like a chess piece. Now they don't have a regular shape, so what we need to do is find out its volume, because we can't just times the depth by the height by the width. We have to work out its volume in a different way. And we use this thing, which is, you see this little can with a spout on, it's called a eureka jar or eureka can. All right, and that is how we can measure the volume of that substance. And I'll talk you through this. So we've done regular shape objects, now we're going to do irregular shapes. So I can't get this volume by just timesing this bit by this bit by this bit. All right, I'm going to have to find the volume a different way. All right, and the same can be said for this piece of stone here. It's not a regular shape. So what I can do is I can work out the volume by how much it displaces. So if you look at this here, when I put the object in, the volume will go up. Now the amount that volume goes up is the volume of this object. So same equation, so density equals mass divided by volume. I'm going to do the easy bit first and find the mass. So I can just place it onto the top pan balance and record the mass, which is to 28.78. Now I've got to find the volume. Now, to make this a little bit better and just put it into this beaker, I can use this thing here called a Eureka can. Now, the Eureka can is already filled with water just up to the spout. All right, and when I place this object in, it will displace the water, and the volume of water that this is will go into the measuring cylinder. So we're going to have to catch all of that water, make sure it's fully in there. One more drop, and there is my volume of water. So that actually is exactly 3 milliliters. So my volume was 3 centimeters cubed, and then I can use my calculator again and do 28.78 divided by 3, which gives me the density of 9.59 grams per centimeter cubed. What I want you to do now is write the method which you've just seen in your books if you're in school, or on a piece of paper if you are at home, or on a revision card. So how would you calculate the density of an irregular shaped object? Make sure you include the name of the apparatus that you need, and make sure you make it very clear you understand the order and the steps. I will give you 3 minutes, off you go. You've got 1 more minute. Okay. So this is the exam question I was talking about earlier on. So this is a chess piece, and it just asks you to plan an experiment that would allow the student to determine the density. So you should have the answer now in front of you, because you've just written that method for me. This is the mark scheme. So you would find the mass using a balance, 1 mark. Fill a Eureka can with water up to the spout, 2 marks. Place a measuring cylinder under the spout. Place the object into the Eureka can and catch the water. coming out of the spout to find the volume, and then use the equation density equals mass divided by volume. And that would get you, I think that's a 4-mark question, so that would get you to 4 marks. If you miss one of them out, then what happens is you've got, if it gives you some, if your answer gave you some of those bits, but it won't necessarily give you an actual method, a valid method, you get a maximum of 2 marks. If your method would give you the right answers, then you get the 3 or 4 marks. It's banded, basically. So this is the last bit, revision card. To find the density of an irregular object, you need to find the mass of an object using a balance, fill your eureka can with water up to the spout, place a measuring cylinder under the spout, and then put your object into your eureka can. And then what happens, obviously, is that displaces the liquid, the water. It displaces the water, so the water comes up, and then you can find out how much volume there was in, or the object has. And then you can use the equation and always put that into your method. Always put any equations that you're going to need. So you use the method density equals mass divided by volume. And then that is it. If you wish to pause that or pause the video, then you can write the rest of these down. But I'm pretty sure that you have that down already. Well done, guys. Excellent work.